live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color on this Wednesday evening, 6:30 Central Time. The week after Thanksgiving, it's the last day of November. How are we feeling, guys? We are almost at the end of the year, and saw a great tweet the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually. Saw a great tweet. Why does it feel like Coda won Best Picture 4 years ago? I'll let you be the judge of that one, but we are live and in living color tonight, back after a week off. Always give the three of us off the week of Thanksgiving. We will do the same come Christmas time here in a couple of weeks. I said it on Labor Day, which I feel like was a week ago. I said it on Labor Day. I said now it's essentially a 4-month march to the holidays, and now we are less than a month away from Christmas. I'm already in the middle of my shopping. I'm sure you guys are too. But I guess first things first. Joe, how was your Thanksgiving?
Dude, very relaxing. I got to very much enjoy the holiday, which was nice. Haven't had that happen in a while between the jobs I've worked. This was actually like the first time it was like, oh, I don't have to go in anywhere Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, which was just kind of nice. It was refreshing to have that happen for once.
It's good to hear, man. D, how was yours?
It was actually busy because Saturday was Chelsea and I's half anniversary. We got married about pretty much 6 months ago to the day, since in Chicago. So that was nice, in front of the judge in City Hall / the county building. But going into the city on a Saturday, we did get our Chris Kindle Market ornaments. That is a tradition for us.
I noticed that.
We liked going to the one in Naperville, but Naperville was like, nah, we can do it better. And then they didn't. So they stopped doing that. That year failed, but that's okay. Get to go to the city, which is always a treat, always a privilege. And yeah. So, but after that, I got tired. So I'm like, all right, I'm good to take a break again. Can we get that? Can we get those 5 days off again?
I already know that you're married too, but so that's good for me to know, because it's like, oh, you guys are already married. I really can't screw this up when I officiate this. You know, I can't say the wrong thing and put like a Harry Potter pox on you come January. You know, so now glad you guys had fun. I stayed local. I had a good Thanksgiving, ton of movies. I will say though, as somebody who saw like everything there was to see in the theater and over the last like 6 days or so, man, this had to be the weakest slate of Thanksgiving movies I can think of in quite some time. I really wasn't jazzed to see really any of these outside of The Menu, which I think is probably my favorite movie out right now, because Tar's kind of leaving theaters. So I think I would probably say The Menu is my favorite movie out right now. I was also, just for the record, I was also very pleasantly surprised by She Said. I didn't go into it with the highest of hopes, especially after, just knowing it didn't make a lot of money, and B, I just can't help but feeling like I think it's too early for this story to be told. But I did enjoy is not the right word, but I was definitely compelled by that movie.
Better or worse than Just Mercy?
I say Just Mercy's better. Okay. I would say Just Mercy is I hadn't thought about comparing it to that movie though, because I kept using Spotlight and The Post as barometers.
Those sound. I have not seen it. I really want to see it, but that sounds
like
more apt comparison.
Yeah. You'll like it. No, I think Just Mercy's a better, more compelling movie, because here's the thing with She Said is like, it's definitely a journalism movie. Spotlight, it just reminds you how Spotlight got it so well, because Spotlight was about the journalistic process and the investigative process, but there was also this like really compelling like interpersonal angle with it between the writers and editors that was really fleshed out. This movie, essentially, as much as I did like She Said, it really is 2 hours of people waiting for cell phones to ring. It's essentially what it is. And then there's the other part, which is, again, hard to do in the modern day. I didn't mean to launch into a review of this, but I'll just add this, is that like there's a lot of celebrity impersonations in this movie too. Mm-hmm. Not many of which are seen, most of which are just heard, like Rose McGowan over the phone, Donald Trump over the phone, Harvey Weinstein over the phone. And like 20 years from now, that would play much better, because two of the three of those will be dead by then. And, it'll be a long enough time that's passed without them being in the zeitgeist. But when you have these people that are so relevant in the contemporary landscape and you hear the impersonations, the guy who did Harvey was really good. But I feel like if you would have seen him, it would have taken the whole thing out. It would have really got the whole thing out of it. But no, I do recommend that movie. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I was engaged with it. That movie did keep my attention for the whole 2 hours that she said. Not a movie to lift the spirits, but definitely a good movie. But we're talking about two of the Thanksgiving releases, technically, one on streaming, one in theaters. The next review is not going to be a very elaborate one. I'm not going to lie, like 20 minutes into Blues Big City Adventure, I was sitting there with my Bourbon County beer, drinking, watching the movie, and I'm just like, why the hell did I make these guys watch this? I'm like, shit, this was better in theory.
Yeah. I'm sitting there like on the couch, like lazily sitting back, and then the most active, fit Filipino dude is just romping through New York City. I'm just like, yeah, that could be me.
Dude, by like musical act number 5, within the first 5 minutes, I was like, shit, this is going to be a tough one to sit through. I was like, I'm enjoying it, but it's just like, man, like, all right, how many music numbers are in this damn movie?
And then I guiltily, I did have I had 2 Bourbon Counties that night. So like, and those are heavy beers. And I was writing my review and I was having the second one. And I'm like, either this movie's hard to review or I'm seeing donkeys. Like
a man of culture. When he watches Blue's Clues, he gets a nice cup of bourbon right there. Jesus.
It's a stout, technically. It's a beer,
okay.
technically.
I did forget to mention. I finally have a filter on my microphone, just like you. I actually got a new microphone in general.
Look at that.
Oh, hands. I was going to say, you do sound clear. You do sound clear.
It does have a nice little function where if I tap the top, it will. And it's nice. Like I can just tap it on the end. So that way, when my dad knocks on my door because he forgets I stream every Wednesday, I can easily tap this and not be disturbed.
Nice.
That's a lot better than the iRig thing I have down here, which is a switch underneath my like on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Thing or whatever on my desk. Yes, Dom was the first to have the pop filter, and then I was online on Amazon one day, and I needed like so much for free shipping, and I was like, Dom's got that pop filter. How much is it?
Cheap.
It was like $8.
Yeah,
but
Joe's was 9.
Joe's got the nicest mic/mic setup of all of us.
You are supposed to replace them after a while because 1, they do wear out, and 2, it's fucking disgusting. But
I can believe this. Believe this. But there's COVID-24 on this thing right now. No, this thing I was gonna say this is only got to be about a year and a half old, but you can like, I try not to hold this to light. I try not to hold this to light, but how old's yours? You've had to have yours for a while.
Oh God, yeah, I think like 2 years now at least. So I think I'm due for another one.
I'm dragging my feet.
I don't know if this is interchangeable. No, not really.
No,
I don't know. I think
yours and I are probably the same model. I bet you yours and I are probably the same model.
Is it Dragon Pad?
Hell, now you're making me look. I don't think so. Or I don't see.
We have 2 movies to review today.
Yeah, I know we do. Hey, did you guys see that Cocaine Bear trailer too? Holy
Wait,
shit.
The trailer came out?
The trailer came out for Cocaine Bear.
I did not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you guys see that yet? Holy shit, does that look like the movie of the year?
Well, I know. Wait,
it's based on a true story.
I was going to say, I know not intently, but I've heard of the real story, and every time the comments on that story online is like, that's the scariest thing for like 20 minutes. That is the deadliest, scariest thing in the planet.
It is. And do you know who directed this thing? Elizabeth Banks,
dude.
What the fuck?
And I'm hoping it's good because, it's like.
You know who's in this thing? I watched the trailer just about a half hour before I came on with you guys. You know who's also in this thing? We have to mention Cocaine Bear. That's what I'm saying. You know who's in this? And I don't know how entrenched you guys are on TikTok.
I'm looking at it right now. What the hell?
No, it's not who you're thinking. Scott Seiss is in it. And I know that you guys have seen him on TikTok or Twitter. He's the retail guy. The guy who always makes the jokes about retail workers. If you look him up, you'll know.
This is the guy, the IKEA dude.
The IKEA dude, where it's like, you working hard or hardly working? I'm hardly laughing. That guy is in it. He plays a paramedic.
Oh, this guy's a working class hero.
Yeah,
I don't care how fake. I don't care how fake his background may be. If it is, I don't know.
he
But
had the
like,
best he had the best
I'm
tweet
like
when he
watching the
tweeted.
trailer without any audio, and like I'm just like, dude, I gotta check this movie out.
He had the best tweet today when he retweeted the trailer. He said, "I told you guys I was in Cocaine Bear." Dude, I already added it to the schedule. March 1st, we're reviewing Cocaine Bear. That's going
this
to
is
be a
so
marquee
stupid.
movie weekend for your boy because you know what also comes out that weekend?
What's up?
A Christian movie called The Jesus Revolution.
You can either go see Cocaine Bear or hang out with Jesus.
Cocaine Bear, The Jesus Revolution.
Oh,
That's
is Michael
what's
Madsen in this?
Ray
Is Michael
Liotta.
Madsen?
It's I know it's Ray
I'm so
Liotta's
sorry.
last
I'm so
movie.
sorry. Ray Liotta. I meant to say Ray
Ray
Liotta.
Liotta's last movie.
Michael Madsen.
I was like, you dolt. Yeah, it's Ray Liotta's last movie.
Cocaine Bear. How fitting is that in a weird way?
You know, what that I think the poster, the teaser or the tagline on the poster is like "Get in line" or something.
What?
O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s in it. I can't wait. I had to mention because this podcast was not going to start without a mention of Cocaine Bear. Anyway, Strange World. After a very strange discussion. There is a new Disney movie. There is a new Disney movie out in theaters. I don't know if you've heard of it. From the Iowa native, University of Iowa graduate, former Hawkeye. Don Hall directed this movie. Don Hall, popular name in animation, guy I really like too, for more reasons than he's an Iowa native. But he did Winnie the Pooh in 2011. He did Big Hero 6. He did Moana. He's been kind of the one of the golden boys for Disney recently in terms of like started as a storyboard artist in the late 90s on Mulan and Tarzan, went on to direct Winnie the Pooh. That was his first feature. Also Disney's last hand-drawn movie. I think we mentioned that during the Bob's Burgers review, Dom, that was the last hand-drawn movie by Disney, and then Bob's Burgers came out. But anyway, we got Strange World on the docket today, and I'm going to start by saying this. Strange World has a lot in common, I think, with the era of Disney movies in the late 90s, mid to late 90s to like early 2000s that took a lot of creative risks. Atlantis, The Lost Empire is the one that always comes to mind first. Titan AE is another one. Treasure Planet, I know that's a hugely popular one. It's been years since I barely remember Treasure Planet. Iron Giant. These were a lot of movies. I think all three of the four of those, with the exception of Iron Giant, did not do well in theaters. But they were definitely like more creatively ambitious than a lot of other Disney like Princess Fare. Mm-hmm. And they've gone on to be very highly thought of by critics and audiences and people our age that grew up with those movies. Strange World feels a lot like those four movies, except it's not very good. Unlike those other four, which are very good, especially Atlantis. I love Atlantis, The Lost Empire. It also, this movie has a lot in common, not in common, but it takes a lot of its influences from like Journey to the Center of the Earth. Fantastic Voyage is another one. John Carter on Mars. It takes a lot of like its influences from different like pulp fiction, pulp magazines, and things like that, as it's set in the land of Avalonia. And you know, there's a lot of plot in this thing. And not much of it's very interesting. I'll be completely honest in saying that. Not a lot of it, at least I didn't find very interesting. That's where I'll start with that with my monologue. Dom, what do you got for us? General thoughts on Strange World?
I've always been a fan of Jules Verne-esque stories. Jules Verne, the 19th century author, someone who I always said, if I was actually literate, I would read his work. If I actually read books, I would read his work. But his influence is profound on the adventure genre. So you mentioned Journey to the Center of the Earth. I remember even like any story that copies that kind of template, I'm a big fan of. So even like the live action Journey to the Center of the Earth with, I think, Brendan Fraser, and then The Lost Island with The Rock. Yep. Yeah, because apparently the mother in that movie got divorced and was like to replace Brendan Fraser with The Rock. I'm like, okay. But this movie is very much that at its heart, and which is kind of a shame because it's very pulpy, very pulp action, pulp comics kind of framing, and then that kind of Jules Verne adventure. But unfortunately, the only thing anyone will ever talk about with this movie is the fact that it's woke, which I love using woke ironically, because everyone else uses woke. It's like, oh, yep, interracial marriage, gay kid, gay son.
Not to interrupt you, but is this not like Disney's fucking 50th first gay character ever, too? I just wanted to mention that. I'm sorry to use our one F-bomb, but like, for real.
Let's knock this out of the way. Let's knock this out of the way right now. How they handled that character specifically was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think it was. This is a far cry in Disney terms. This is a far cry. This is a leapfrog forward from the freaking Beauty and the Beast live action, where it's like, oh, LeFou's gay, and then like 3 milliseconds of him dancing with another, just dancing with another dude.
Dude, no.
I mean, yeah, it's better than the Beauty and the Beast bullshit representation, but I don't think it's much. I don't think it's on the same trajectory as Lightyear, I think, where it's just kind of there. It's just kind of fisted in.
I mean, I kind of agree more with Dom, and just saying, like, look, maybe it's because like we're so burned down, because like I agree with Steve. It's annoying when it's like, this is the first whatever so character we have done, and it's like, literally, I've been seeing memes that, for anybody who's familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's like a power passed down the, like, a legacy of characters, and it's like the most recent Avatar looks at Aang, who is the one you're following throughout the show, and he's like, now you will become Disney's first openly gay character for the next film. But like, look, they've been saying that so many times and everything, and to Dom's credit, yeah, it's like, and Dom, I'll let you continue and everything, it's always like what it was like with that one Pixar movie with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt,
Onward,
where it was just like, oh, we have an openly gay character in here, and all she said was, yeah, my wife back at home, and that's it. A lot of it does, like, whenever they do stuff like that, it just feels like, yeah, it's just like kind of thrown in here. No, I actually felt like for the first time, at least with this character, I was like, oh, hey, they actually, like, from the start to the end, it's like, he is that, and it's just like, they don't ever, like, one, I think it's cool they don't make a big deal about it, that, like, he's just, hey, the family has accepted him and everything for, being gay and everything. And two, it wasn't like just one little line and then they just went about their day. It's like, no, it was part of that character, honestly.
Yeah, they actually show him like actually actively having a crush and developing a relationship at the end, start and the very end of the movie. So whatever, it doesn't really play into it. That's fine. This is what I call bare minimum. So at least they reached that. But all that aside, I did enjoy I don't call it. I found this term, solar punk aesthetic. If you've heard that term, steampunk, diesel punk. Solar punk is kind of like the positive flip side of that, where it's like, yeah, it's very like fantasy, but also mechanical. But the solar twist is that it's like renewable resources and like, green and all that stuff, which is not, it's a very nice aesthetic. So seeing that with a Jules Verne twist, or seeing his Jules Verne story with that kind of twist, is it's a little refreshing. And the colors on this movie is a delight. This runs the gambit. Very lush colors, pretty decent, pretty solid animation. Not that I can judge it too in depth, but I very much enjoyed the look of it. As for the plot, yeah, it's pretty bog standard, and it juggles the very blueprint journey with the very classic father and son layered relationships here, and how it handled that more bog standard. And I think that's going to be our theme for this movie for the night. But I'll hand it off to Joe.
I'm glad Steve brought up the Atlantis, Treasure Planet movies, because as a kid, Iron Giant, even as a kid, I always thought sci-fi animated films were really cool, and I kind of felt like it was kind of something that was lost in the late 90s, early 2000s, because we never really saw it again ever since then. We got every once in a while with something like WALL-E, but even then, it's not really sci-fi. It's like, yeah, it takes places in the future, but it's not.
It lacked that adventure quality.
Exactly, yeah.
Like Atlantis felt like a friggin' adventure,
yeah. Like with other Pixar movies, like, you got The Incredibles, you had this superhero adventure, and you got like Finding Nemo, this underwater adventure and everything. but we never got like that sci-fi animated adventure again, and I can't really think of anything too recent where that's happened. So when this movie was first announced, I was actually really looking forward to it because that is an art that I did miss from Disney and just animated studios in general. And after seeing it, I kind of went like, well, shit, no wonder why this didn't continue on, because nobody wants to do a damn thing with it. It's for me, man, initial impressions. Uh, this movie is just by the numbers, man. It is hitting every check mark it needs to with its plot, its characters, its action. Um, it reminded me of Lightyear in a lot of ways, of how much that felt by the numbers for someone like Pixar. Um, but like at least with Lightyear, I enjoyed the animation. I thought the companion that's there to probably just sell toys was actually very charming. Socks. Um, Here though, Splat and the animation, to me, I just wasn't about it. Like the character designs are fine, but just the overall world, it has like this gummy texture to it. It looks like really bright and
It's the perfect way to describe it.
it looks very bright and chewy. I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, I thought this was supposed to be like a dangerous planet and everything. It's like, it kind of made me go like, damn, like back then, like Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Iron Giant were not afraid to show like how like rough or dangerous these like things, like these worlds or things they discovered can be. And it's just like here it's like everything's so bright and colorful. It looks like I'm looking at gummy bears.
You know what? Not to interrupt you, that you're actually hitting this perfectly, because the thing with pulp is that it has a certain aspect of grittiness to it,
Yeah.
which is exactly the point you're making. But specifically that pulp style, like the origin of that term being like, okay, it's a lot cheaper to print these, kids comics on like a cheaper pulpy paper,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
gave it that aesthetic that makes it much more grounded, much more, and eventually became its own really rough and tough aesthetic. Here, you trying to emulate that world. You've got big buff Jaeger Clade. I keep wanting to say Cade. Jaeger. I'm thinking of Mark Wahlberg in Transformers. Cade Jaeger. The dumbest name. Sorry. Anyway, you got big buff Jaeger here. Trying to be the standard bearer for that kind of aspect of it.
Mhm.
But then like it visually clashes in a way that it kind of worked for me, but I totally get what you're saying, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. If it works for people, that's fine. For me, it's just like, I just wasn't really vibing with it. I wasn't really enjoying looking at it. Not that I was like, oh, this is hideous. Like, no, it looked good. I know people worked on this. I'm not discredit that. I just felt like the animation style just wasn't working for me and for what they were trying to do with the movie overall.
I completely agree there.
Voice acting wise, though, most of the time, like, I get it when people usually complain about actors being in these animated movies because they're taking away a role from a voice actor that can potentially do this 100 times better. Most of the time, I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, I get it though. They want to market the movie with a name and everything to try and help sell it more. Like, I get it. This is the first time in a while though I looked at this and I'm like, man, maybe you should have done voice actors, because I love Jake Gyllenhaal, I love Gabrielle Union, Lucy Liu, Dennis Quaid. I just did not like any of their voice acting in this. The only one I thought was actually putting in some work was I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Jabuki Young White, who plays Ethan Clade, who is the gay character. Like, to me, he was really emulating, like, he was really like, he's doing such a great job performing through his voice, while everybody else feels like they're saying these lines as if they're on screen, but they're not really these characters on screen. Like, it's like Jake Gyllenhaal's supposed to be on screen right now. I don't know. Like, everything about this movie, like, the longer I was just sitting there watching it, the longer I was like, none of this is working for me, and I'm so upset that it's not. Because of course, yeah, the thing people are going to talk about this movie is what Don brought up, which is the woke aspect of it. And it's just like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I didn't like that movie, and people be like, oh, because it had this. It's like, no, like, legit, this movie has fucking problems.
No, I think you nailed it too, because like, and I thought it was a strategy at first, and maybe it was. There was not a lot of marketing for this thing at all. For a Disney movie being released on Thanksgiving, there was not a lot of marketing. Now, I don't know if like they really put all their ad dollars behind Wakanda Forever, and that was like their cash cow for the month.
They were just like,
but
that's
like,
gonna make bank at Thanksgiving. Just put that out.
But I remember like when they like up until pretty recently, I was seeing posters that were just the black poster with Strange World
World's
on it.
logo on it. Yeah.
And there was no identifiable characters, and like whenever a movie, especially a movie from a big studio, teases you with posters, like this stuff matters. This is what people see. Like when it teases you with these like posters that are just text or just like you know, it's a really good example of a good teaser poster. I don't even know if I'm going to see the movie, but it's that Little Mermaid live action remake that's coming out next year. The poster, if you guys seen the poster's phenomenal because it like communicates the idea with no text and it just says like 2023 on the bottom.
Yep.
That is perfect. Those are like the posters I love. But with this thing, there's no familiarity on which to draw. Like there's nothing to like connect you with this world. This isn't based on anything. This is a totally original story. And there was almost like, because I didn't know a ton about this going into it, and I kept thinking like it's kind of weird that I'm going to see a brand new Disney movie on a holiday week that I don't know much about preemptively, and I go to the theaters more than any human being should. So I sat down to watch it, and I remember like about 40 minutes. I was into it for about 20 to 30 minutes, just the father-son dynamic, and then this plant, this Pando plant that becomes so integral. Like the first 20 minutes on the wavelength.
I even like that black and white part of the movie. I thought, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
And then I'm just like, really, this is what this is. And then we go to Avalonia, which is just like Joe even said, he kind of took the words out of my mouth. It's just this frothy, colorful universe. There really isn't anything remotely strange about it. And you know what? There really can't be. There really can't be. You know why? Because we don't spend any time interacting with this world either.
Yes.
There's no real interaction with Avalonia. It really feels underdeveloped. Where you go and compare it to like Atlantis or even like you probably seen it more recently than I have, Treasure Planet. There was real interaction with those like landscapes and like it felt like a sense of danger. This thing doesn't at all.
And Dennis Quaid's character is just like, oh man, I've been living out here. You can't go in the water; it'll dissolve your flesh. You can't do this; you'll be killed instantly. And it's just like we see, like I'm not saying I need to see that in a kids' film, but like I don't see any of that danger really utilized. It is focusing more on these family dynamic problems and again generational trauma, which like God, that has been the theme of 2022's movies. Jesus Christ,
and the importance of family, for Christ's sake.
The ones I've loved, I almost said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but Everything Everywhere All at Once and so many other movies, Turning Red. It's like the movies I've loved this year that have focused on stuff like that. Like even I'm getting tired of like just seeing that. It's like, man, like I don't care how good the movie could be, but like Jesus Christ, did everybody decide this is the year we're gonna focus on that?
It's either family, generational trauma, or grief.
Yep.
It's one of the three. It's one of the three these days.
Well, everyone can relate to it. So
yeah, I know these are unprecedented times. I know, but shit.
Well, like let's take another gold standard adventure film, The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, right? That's not Jules Verne, that's more Universal. But still, that is a classic, our generation's classic adventure film, without a doubt. At least one of them. And dude, people were dropping dead left and right on that thing constantly. And like Joe said, we don't need to see that. No one needs to die. Or like no one needs to die gruesomely, but it does say something when like everything's so floaty and pretty and gummy. I like that word. And then yes, like, well, no one's dead. Well, yeah, how are we gonna, like, one of the most critical aspects of the adventure thing is like just to see how does this world kill you? How would this kill you? How do you help illustrate that?
Or even like intense peril. Like that used to be the thing with animated adventure movies, like, or even like Pirates of the Caribbean. If you read like what it was rated PG-13 for or PG for, it would say like intense scenes of peril. Like that was one of my favorite descriptions. Like, we don't even get that much.
On the flip side, I do want to commend this story on the whole for finding a very positive, healthy way out of to resolve itself, in that it doesn't necessarily end with flame throwing everything like a lot of adventure stories do. It's a very healthy resolution, in that, oh, okay, we found out that there is something worth in this world, really coexisting with. So let's find a way to do that. And it's like, it's very easy and very, from the character's point of view, I would be like, oh yeah, no, let's commit to this first plan. But it's like, no, no, no. As we're learning about this, let's actually do the right thing here. And I thought that was positive. And I do think how they handle the generational trauma, while yes, treaded on repeatedly in many, 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 many other stories. At least they handled it. It's like the actual moments in and of themselves are fine, but something about stringing them together
doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. And I'm not saying it's even in the in between. It's like in the it affects, it's something minute in every scene that affects the pacing on the macro level. But is it like just how, not cookie cutter? It's like I don't know. Do you guys catch what I'm saying?
I can add on to that. I know we're butting up against the intermission here, but let me take a swing at this because I had a hard time kind of detailing my thoughts on this, but I think we're kind of in lockstep with this criticism. Here's the best way I described it in my review, StevePulaski.com. The best way I described it in my review of Strange World is I said it feels, no pun intended, strangely like automated. It has this automated quality to it. I'll try and explain it. It's like the movie's on a track, and it's guiding its characters through this streamlined sort of sequence of events, and through Avalonia, which explains, going back to what I was saying earlier, how I don't feel there's any real interaction with this. It feels like all the opportunities, and this is a writing problem, that like would afford these characters to interact with this world, there's so little time for us to appreciate and absorb what the world is about, because it's almost like once they all embark on this quest, it's like they're being shuffled to the next plot point. And it's like there's a constant moving quality to this. That's the best way I can describe it, is that the thing, it feels automated. It doesn't feel natural. It feels like it's on a conveyor forward.
Less Jules Verne adventure, more California adventure.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah. It absolutely feels like that, or it's like a video game.
I feel so clever for having made that up, but it's like that's like a Steve Pulaski line.
That is a Steve Pulaski zinger. Joe would probably have a better like kind of comp with this, but like it's like when you're playing a video game and like a Sonic game or a Mario game maybe, and it's like your movements, all of a sudden it's like you're doing these things on the screen, but you're not really controlling it. Like it's kind of automated. Like
Sonic, yes,
Sonic,
100% Sonic, like Sonic Adventure, like from the early 2000s,
it's
90s.
Fun, but like you're kind of like you hit like the button A at the right time, and you bounce off a peripheral or something, and you're going back and forth.
Like
you're not controlling it.
QuickTime events in video games. It's when you're watching a cutscene and a button prompt pops up to just block something, and then the cutscene continues. And
that's what Strange World felt like to me. It feels automated in that regard. And I figured, you being a gamer, you would probably have a better insight to that than me. And I'm over here referencing Sonic and whatnot. But like that's what it feels.
No, that's
like
very apt.
That's especially the Sonic comparison is very true, because not to get all nerdy here in video game topic, but yeah, the later 3D Sonic games, like Dom was saying, is very much like, oh, okay, time to, like, like you're running, but you're not really running. The game's doing it for you, because it literally just shot you out of a spring onto an accelerator. Now you're going upside down. Okay, now you control him for about 5 seconds, and then you'll be on the next.
I think that was the problem of the Sonic 360 game on 100%. Xbox 360.
Even
Sonic
before that,
06.
like Dreamcast, yeah.
I think that was one of the problems with it, was that it was like basically an interactive movie, and it was a lot of cutscenes.
At least Sonic had like a cool world and had like that 90s attitude to fall back on.
Had a soundtrack fit for vinyl.
Oh, 100%. Strange World, unfortunately, it's trying to capture that magic, but it doesn't have the grit. It doesn't have the danger. The actors are doing all right here. They're doing passable. They're solid, but nothing really outstanding. And when you don't have the spark behind it, it becomes less of a loving tribute and more of an on rails kind of affair.
That sounds like closing thoughts, which we will get to after the Zoom-sponsored intermission. Perfect segue, Dom. You're watching Sleepless with Steve live and in living color every Wednesday evening. We'll be back in about 60 to 90 seconds to wrap up our discussion of Strange World and segue into an even greater topic, that is Blue's Big City Adventure. We will be back 60 to 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. This is Sleepless with Steve. We are back, Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. We are reviewing Strange World, the brand new Disney movie that nobody saw over the long Thanksgiving weekend. Really, nobody saw any of these new releases outside of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Menu's doing well though, so I'm very happy about that. And
Same.
then there's the this is another discussion for another day. But Jesus Christ, this probably would have been our discussion had we not I some reason vouched for Blue's Big City Adventure to review, but like I still don't understand what Netflix is doing with Glass Onion. I don't even think they really understand what the hell they're doing.
You
with
mean
that.
like the theatrical release for it?
Yeah,
it's because the Academy is putting their foot down and putting more like barriers for streaming films. Because a lot of people who are part of the Academy bitch and moan that it's like it's not fair that Coda just had 2 weeks in theaters and then won Best Picture. And then it's just like, all right, fine. Now the minimum is a month. It's just like that's what it is.
Well, what I don't understand is why the hell they don't just make bank off of a sequel to a movie that made $300 million. Why don't you put it in theaters for a month and a half? Netflix rakes in all the money anyway, and then you put it on the streaming service instead of putting it on the streaming service in less than a month now. I don't get that. I think whatever they do, they're leaving them gobs of money on the table for this thing. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Glass Onion, but everybody back home got it. I didn't get to see it either, so I'm just quietly bitter.
Oh, you serious? You didn't get it out there?
No, we didn't get it.
Oh, dude, I am so sorry.
The consolation this weekend is we did get Bones and All. That's the consolation this weekend. So we did get that. So I'm not like, in the words of Dante from Clerks, I'm not happy, but I'm able to deal. Anyway, here. We're talking Strange World. Probably parlay this in the closing thoughts because we do have another very big, literally big city adventure to review over here. Christ. Yeah, I was not crazy about this Strange World movie at all. And I think this is going to go down as one of the most forgotten Disney movies of the last 10 years. I really think that. And I don't know. Time will tell. But like where Atlantis, the Lost Empire, like that movie was a bomb. And it still made like almost $200 million. And tickets were a hell of a lot cheaper at that point in time. That manifested a cult following. Treasure Planet was another one that manifested a cult following. Titan AE, less so than the other two, but still. I don't know what the future of this thing is. I think it'll play well on Disney Plus, but I don't see this thing like even Wreck-It Ralph, which is finally remembered, but it's not up there with like Frozen and even Big Hero 6 in terms of just like, lasting impression. Even Wreck-It Ralph though has its audience because of its like affinity for like 8-bit style of gaming and arcade gaming and that culture. It has that
Wreck-It
audience.
Ralph got a sequel. I don't think Strange World 2 is ever gonna happen.
Yeah, and Wreck-It Ralph did get a sequel too. And I'm also very biased. I love both those movies. But Strange World, on the other hand, though, like this is just I found it wholly unoriginal. And I could not find really any noteworthy, memorable character in this thing that like left me wanting more from them. Who like I left thinking like that was a really well made, well thought out character. And then when you compare it to, like I said, Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6, hell, I always forget to bring this one up as much as I love it. Zootopia. Like you compare it to a lot of other Disney movies of this recent like creed, and it just doesn't stack up whatsoever. This is Disney's weakest like original animated movie, in my opinion, in quite some time. I give it, especially just the fact that it doesn't really live up to its world or live up to its title either. It's 2 out of 4 stars from me. We'll go Joe then Dom to send us home on Strange World.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off what you were saying there at the end, but yeah, man, 2009 Walt Disney Animated Studios I think had like this Renaissance era where they had The Princess and the Frog come out and like it was loved by so many people. They followed up with Tangled, with a Winnie the Pooh movie, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen. They were hitting strides here. Zootopia, Moana, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Frozen 2, hell, Raya the Last Dragon. I mean, hell, I can at least say I had a great time watching that because the world was least interesting in that. I really enjoyed the animation style there. Encanto, I mean, for God's sakes, we don't talk about Bruno, has left more cultural impact at this point than this movie will ever get. Yeah, it really sucks that like it had. Like,
it doesn't even have a song. It doesn't even have a song that's memorable in this thing.
Oh my god! Like that's
Sorry
true.
to cut you off.
Zootopia at least had that Shakira song, and Big Hero 6 had the Fall Out Boy one. God, man, and like it sucks that they were hitting strides so good. Like I didn't love all those movies. I either liked them to love them to thought they were okay, but I at least walked away saying, Okay, but you know what? It was worth seeing it because of this aspect right here. With Strange World, I got nothing really, man. I mean, I hate to say it too, because I I see Dom was a bit more positive than I was about this, and there are aspects that he's brought up that I could see appeal to people when it comes to the the pulp style of it, the sci-fi style of it, and the messaging. That I will give credit. That is the one thing I actually do agree with him. The messaging at the end of the movie, what they said. But overall, man, I just kind of felt like this was just very by the numbers, and it's very unfortunate to see from a studio after this renaissance they were having of just animated films back to back. It is 1.5 stars for me.
Ooh, there we go.
Wow.
There we go. Dom's gonna tell us why we're Jagoffs. Go, Dom.
Okay, so no, dude, I'll come at it from the different angle in that it is refreshing to see a movie of from this studio actually finally get some of its its messaging correct in how to actually tackle a problem, and also handle a minority character in a way that isn't all that. But yeah, at the end of the day, at the heart of it, you still have to tell a compelling story, and none of this was really that compelling. If you are someone that is really motivated by seeing this diverse cast and seeing very positive messages, that is actually I'm with it. I want that as well. However, I have a feeling that for a lot of those people, I'm guessing that they might come out of this movie yeah, all right, and then it just feels it has a little bit of emptiness afterwards. It's it's not as fulfilling as a Mummy, you know. And the reason why is because it's just it lacks the punch. It lacks the punch. It lacks a little bit of grittiness. It lacks I don't even want to say heart, but more oomph in its characters and its screenplay. And we're being real abstract here, but the other two gentlemen here really said it for me. If I were the screenwriter, which is Ki Nguyen, I believe that is a Vietnamese maybe name.
It is, I believe.
They have written Raya and this for film for Disney. That I think safe to say Strange World, at least on a box office level, is a kind of a lose for him. Raya just treks out over that. I do wonder what Key's what Nguyen's position is here. What are the execs gonna see? All right, do we give a third one to Ki Nguyen over here? I am very curious to see where this person's career goes. It's not gonna tank or anything after this. It's a competent story. It's fine.
Because he's a co-director on this too. It's very weird. Okay. It's very weird because it's not directed by Nguyen and Don Hall. It's directed by Don Hall and co-directed by Nguyen. And I find that very weird.
That is weird.
I find it
implies it equal.
Because usually with animated movies, it's just directed. Usually it's two directors. For a lot of mainstream animated movies, it's two directors credited. I thought it was Strange World. I thought it was strange that they separated these two designations of what these men actually did with this movie. I just thought that was strange.
I will say too, I mean never mind, I don't know where I was going with this. I'm sorry.
Anyway, Dom.
No, it's okay. No, honestly, I was inviting a little more discussion on that one as well. I'm just saying that it did all right in this aspect for Disney. There's a lot of artists, a lot of screenwriters, a lot of directors that are blowing the lid off of diversity and gay stories and all that stuff way out of the water. I'm just saying for Disney, yeah. There now, tell a good story at the same time. Tell a compelling story at the same time, like you do in a lot of these other things. Give it the same treatment. Do it right. All right. So I'm sorry, 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Very, very kind.
I did remember what I was gonna say. The thing I'll say though is that with at least Raya and the Last Dragon, that was one of those early films into coming out of 2020 into 2021. And it still actually made a good amount of money at the box office. It did. As well as Disney Plus when it had the same day release on there. So I think
It
they're
really
fine.
catapulted Disney Plus too in a different way,
It
especially
did.
with the pandemic.
The second thing I want to say is too, next year is the 100th year anniversary for Disney's Walt Disney Animated Studios. So I'm hoping whatever they got saved up for next year, it comes out guns blazing. We get something better that features the stuff that Dom is saying. That it's great to see Disney do this, but actually tell that greater story that all these other films get, but not this one.
This has been the year of animated powerhouses, really disappointing in some respect too, between this and Lightyear, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
like this and Lightyear are both very, very mediocre movies in my opinion. I mean, and truthfully, I mean, I said it was going to be. I remember saying when we saw the Bad Guys, I said this is. I messaged you guys. I said just got out of the theater for Bad Guys. I said I watched every trailer. I got to the theater way too early. I said this is going to be a crappy year for animation.
You did.
I said this looks to be like. I said this might be like one of the last animated movies I see this whole year because it's like I'm not sitting through the Minions. I'm not sitting through Puss in Boots. Like, I'm not sitting through any of these movies.
I've actually heard Puss in Boots rocks. I've actually heard that movie's amazing.
And see, you think with me over here being like the ultimate cat dad over here, I would be so supportive of Puss in Boots. We need a new cat icon. I'm so tired of Puss in Boots. It's not even funny. But anyway, we will march on though. I don't want to take a huge amount of time with this because I don't think. I mean, I think the reason I wanted to review Blues Big City Adventure, aka what I'm going to refer to it as Blues Clues No Way Home. The reason I wanted to review this thing in the first place was because I thought that I still do. I think, and this hasn't gotten a ton of buzz, I don't think, and I don't have kids, so I can't really judge their level of interest. But this really feels like sort of a culmination and sort of like a reunion of Blues Clues that we never got, that they're kind of recognizing now in the modern day. And let me explain this just concretely, just to establish the groundwork here. Blues Big City Adventure is the film adaptation of Blues Clues and You. Blues Clues and You is a long-running animated series from a couple of, not really long-running, I think it started in like 2018, 2019. And that's when it introduced Josh De La Cruz, who is the new host of Blues Clues, the companion to Blue. Preceding Josh was Donovan Patton, who played Joe, who replaced Steve Burns, the one I think we all know and finally remember, the OG Steve Burns, who started in Blues Clues back in 1996. And man, you look back at that period and stuff, like Steve Burns was probably the first real long-term victim of internet hoaxes. If you think back to that era, because he just abruptly left Blues Clues. And it's even kind of referenced in the movie, and it was referenced in that video that went viral last year when Steve Burns, that very heartfelt, sweet video of Steve Burns, like kind of re-ingratiating himself with the Blues Clues audience, where he was just like, in so many words, yeah, I just kind of said, here's my cousin Joe, got on a bus and dipped and went to college. And let me just tell you, it was because of male pattern baldness. You know what I mean? No, but Steve Burns is back here, and it's really cool to see. I mean, first off, it's good to see him alive because so many people thought he was dead and probably still think he's dead. There were so many rumors circulating. So I thought by reviewing Blues Big City Adventure, though, that it would kind of be this real nostalgic romp. I don't know if you guys saw it that way, but for about, 74 minutes, 75 minutes, any longer, and I think I really would have lost my mind. But it's honestly a sweet little movie. It definitely, for if you're older than maybe 10 and you're not a parent and you're watching this, you might question why at times the first 20 minutes or so, you might be like, why the hell did I decide to start watching this? It was actually a week ago this time I started watching it. It was a week ago. We didn't have the show last Wednesday. I was watching it at this time last Wednesday, and it's like, what the hell are you doing with your life? You got Paramount Plus over here. Like, recently watched Blues Big City Adventure and Beavis and Butthead. Good life you're leading. But at any rate, though, it is cool to see these iconic figures, though, of their own eras come together, because you have Donovan Patton's Joe, who took over after Steve, who did pretty well. I was still watching Blues Clues a little bit when Joe took over. I thought he was good. I thought he was definitely, charismatic enough to carry the show. And this Josh character, man, like,
oh, dude,
This guy, I think he's got more energy than Steve did back in the day.
Oh, 100%.
This dude, man, went to like the Juilliard School of interacting with CGI dogs. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, this guy's just got like boundless energy, and he seems like just like Dom, like a genuinely like nice, happy person, in life, and even kind of looks like you in a way.
Well, the blue polo does help in that regard.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
I didn't even think about that.
Stick some glasses on the dude.
Yeah, I just thought of something that would be so perfect. Now I'm really going off the rails. I'm going to throw it to Joe after this. I just thought of something, dude. Halloween next year. I'm Steve. He's Joe, and you're Josh.
All right, we gotta do it.
What the hell?
How fucking perfect is that? You got the
Jesus.
two dorks and a Filipino. There's the script.
We'll make our own version of Blue's Big City Adventure where we go get hammered in the city.
Oh my God, that would be great. That would be great. And we say, we just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. It's a fucking cease and desist. Cease and desist. Oh, we wiling out over here, but that's what happens when you review Blue's Big City Adventure. Joe, what did you think of this this very wholesome display of 90s nostalgia over here?
I mean, man, look, yeah, I kind of felt the same way for like the first 20 minutes where it was just like, all right, like I'm just gonna have to sit here, like, because this is like I haven't seen Blue's Clues since Steve left. Like I probably did watch a little bit of when Joe was the host of the show, but I don't think I really watched that much. So I like, it was cool when it's like, oh my God, Mr. Salt, like, oh my God, Mrs. Pepper, like I was losing my mind seeing them, and it's just like, and yeah, to give credit where credit is due, Joshua De La Cruz, man, I mean, this kid, like, he has the energy that like as a kid I thought Steve had, probably didn't, and this kid actually does have.
Oh, Blue's Clues is in good hands with this guy.
Yeah, it really is, man. Like I'll even give credit to this. I thought the animation, like other than the mouths of them, I thought it was a good way to like kind of update the old art style to like more of a 3D/2D look. With like, Mr. Pepper, Tick, I forgot the clock's name is Tick, whatever it is. I was like, okay, they're actually like the updated art style.
Tickety tock.
Thank you. The updated art style, except for the mailbox. The mailbox made me scream. I was like, what the hell did they do to him? I thought like, wow, that's actually really cool. Like seeing like generations later, like this is how it looks now. Because the last time I looked at Blue's Clues was when Blue was a puppet and there was a pink version of him, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what the hell is going on here anymore. But yeah, for that first 20 minutes, I mean, it's music number after music number after music number after music number. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, all right, well, thank God this is an hour. The moment Steve showed up, I couldn't stop smiling after watching this. I at least had a grin on my, like, I wasn't like, so in love with the movie, but it was really fun watching Steve come back in, interacting with these characters and everything. The little references that he gives, the little references with him and Joe, like, talking to each other and everything. It was really cool. Like, saying that this is the No Way Home of Blue's Clues, yeah, it totally is, because that movie, again, took 3 generations of Spider-Man and put them into one movie for everybody to go see and have a blast with. And it did the same thing here. It had the supporting characters, it had the main, like, leads from those generations all in one movie. And the fact that, like, they're so acknowledged of it. Like, when Steve answers the door in this movie, he looks at the camera, he's like, oh my God, it's you, like, you've grown up, like, and everything.
He basically did the same thing again as that viral video.
Pretty much.
He really did. And I thought that was, like, genius still, because it's just like, yeah, because look at me, I'm 27 years old, and here I am watching this fucking thing, so he's definitely...
I think I felt drinking a Bourbon County Stout on a Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve watching this thing.
I was just like, you better acknowledge me, damn it. But yeah,
die man, for you, Steve.
I did have fun watching this. Is there something I'm gonna tell people to go watch? I'm like, well, maybe if you grew up watching Blue's Clues and you had an emotional reaction to seeing Steve again, maybe check this out. But I'm gonna pass it off to Dom. Dom, go ahead.
I want to be clear. This movie is meant for preschoolers. Let's
true, yeah.
ground ourselves there first, guys. This is meant for like at kindergartners, right? So like, but having said all that, I do wonder because like the original, we have not seen the new series with the Blues Clues and You. We have not seen that, so we don't know what new stuff they introduced there. We only know it from the movie. So we don't know if this movie is doing extra stuff, even from the regular series, just that is airing now. So we don't necessarily know in that regard. But I will just judge it based on. So I am kind of comparing the movie with the OG '90s, early 2000s Blues Clues, and I will say it is cool to see it like these stories done in a 3D way. I'm not talking about 3D Blues Blue. I'm talking like there's literally a shot where Josh looks to the side and then like you are actually seeing him profile and oh wait, yeah, this house does have 4 walls. I forgot that. It's not like just a 2D sound set.
Steve going like this.
I mean, it is literally, but
the background over.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, okay, that's new and interesting. But when they go to New York, bruh, they are whipping that dolly like nobody's business, dude.
Paramount spent money on this, dude. They were like, we're making a damn Blues Clues movie.
This actually leads into an actual. Okay, am I going to kind of critique the camera work in a preschooler's movie? Yes. The amount of cutting and sweeping shots in these musical numbers is too much.
It's a lot.
It's too
much.
Why
I felt tired by like musical number 4.
Bruh.
I was like, dude, okay.
This is like, okay, if we're measuring this based off like the activity levels of a preschooler, this is like a season's worth of like attention and content. Because yeah, after like 1 or 2 songs, those kids are going to be freaking dead tired from like how much this is. It's like,
a lot of sensory overload.
It is sensory overload, and like I'm sorry, but this is like giving like Michael Bay vibes of like how frenetic it was. A lot of parallax. Did you guys notice that? A lot of like this going on as well, background, foreground, and I'm like, damn, really? And it's, again, I'm not being pedantic. The only reason why I'm bringing this up because it really stood out to me. It is a lot, and I think it was actually too much. And it's not even like the energy. It's not even like how much the colors pop, because when the camera's still, it's like, this is cool. This is very nice. You can have a colorful world. I'm totally down with that. But yeah, dude, the camera movement, it's like cutting 3 times in a second for some numbers. Like you're doing an injustice at this point to like the aesthetic, the dancing. There's some good dancing here, or like some energetic dancing, some modern whatever, this and that. Nothing to write home about, but it's getting cut up, it's getting butchered in post, and it's really unfortunate to see, because I do wonder, like, for a kid, it's like, compare that to, oh geez, I don't know, what's another musical. Okay, I don't know why this popped in my head. Do you guys remember Cats Don't Dance? This is probably a really out there.
Yes, I do.
This is a really
one.
out there comparison. Not very apt, but like the camera.
I haven't thought about that movie in so long.
It's animated, so it's fully animated, so it's not a perfect comparison. But like I remember the shots in that being like, this is the shots are holding. Like this is literally a Gene Kelly musical, where it's like you are actually focusing on the animated dancing as opposed to just relying on the cuts. And it's like what Blue's Clues is doing, what Big City Adventure is doing, is like, man, you're wasting the talent, you're wasting the dancing, the effort here with just too much camera work and too much cutting. And I think that's the big killer for me, for much of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, the heart of this story is intact. Like, yeah, dude, it's good to see Steve and Joe. I'm very glad that Steve and Joe didn't hijack the story away from Josh, because like you got to hand it off to them.
That really could have happened too.
And
they were ushered in, and they played supporting roles in Josh's story. That was a good thing.
Exactly. Honestly, it kind of mirrors No Way Home. It's like, this is still very much Tom Holland's Spider-Man story, as opposed to the other two. But even in that regard, it was good. Yo, Taboo, what a surprise! Like, I haven't thought about you since sophomore year of high school.
Alex Winter too, as the cab driver.
That was so random. I'm like, I literally whipped up my phone and I'm like, did Alex Winter have anything to do with the original? Nope, he's just here. He's just laying around at the Paramount Studios soundstage, and they just stuck him in a cab. And I'm like, okay, I'm not against this, but whatever. I do wonder, like, is the Rainbow, what's her name, Rainbow Puppy?
I don't think so. Yeah,
I think it's just
the carbon copy of Blue, but talks and is Rainbow, which I thought was like kind of a lazy design. I was like, okay, come on, you couldn't have made an original dog here.
Well, she's part of the new show. She is.
Okay, well, I don't know. You know what? I don't know the story, so I won't really comment. It's like, okay, the Blue's Clues lore. Again, this is a movie for preschoolers, and all the other stuff was like, oh man, we could have. Oh, I will say this. The music, totally forgettable. Are you with me on that?
There's no lasting impact there.
No, none at all. Immediate, like the songs are blending together. This is like I'm sorry, but like I actually will judge this just as much as I am judging the camera work. It's like, you like, say what you will about Disney, they know how to write good songs, memorable songs, even for their most forgettable stories. It's like, yeah, dude, this is still catchy. This is at least, listenable. And I can see if this pops up on my Spotify, yeah, I'll listen to We Don't Talk About Bruno. Like, hell yeah. But everything here, unfortunately, yeah. So the big kind of three things, I guess, is the editing, the camera work, and the music. Those things felt very cookie cutter.
It's funny.
Yeah, I know.
You opened with this whole thing like, guys, this is a movie made for preschools. I feel like you were saying that because you were gonna give the biggest critiques here, man. Motherfuckers got
I know. That's why I did it.
Like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, man. He was writing in that handy dandy notebook all sorts of shit, bringing up dollies and everything.
I care about our children.
I care about our children. Though.
They deserve good, well done art. Well done.
It's really for preschoolers, yeah. But the cross-cutting and the editing and the foregrounding. God damn, Mark Cousins over here with the Blues Big City Adventure. No hate, man. No hate, man. I don't do anything I don't overdo, man. Like, good Lord, I was going to bring up
I gave Strange World 1.5 stars, and both of you guys went, ooh, so I was the odd man out there, so trust me.
I pointed out the parallax in a preschooler's movie.
And I thought I was reaching when I referenced the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour in my review of this thing. Like, my God. I give it 3 stars. I see a lot of what Dom says, though. In particular, I would say even the camera work I can kind of forgive. I would say more to the point that the musical numbers are pretty flat and forgettable. Outside, like, they're performed well enough to make you forget that, like, they're not memorable in themselves. They're performed valiantly.
Cast is all in and awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's 3 out of 4 stars for me. We'll go Joe and Dom and then put Blue's Clues the movie to bed.
I mean, even though like I was joking about Dom's criticisms, I mean, like, those are true.
Same.
I felt that way. Like him bringing up that camera work. It's like, dude, maybe that's why I was just getting annoyed by these music numbers, because it was just like
100%.
Holy shit! Like, how many times are we gonna cut to this, swing that way? Like, definitely. So he actually brought up something I didn't consider. For me though, I mean, like, yeah, this is. Man, like, I almost don't want to give it a rating, but yeah, I mean, if I had to give it a rating, it's 3 out of 4 stars, because it's done well enough to really, it's like, hey man, like, look, I would love to, if I had kids, I would love to watch this with them. I would be like, I'd be like, yeah, of course I'm gonna watch this with you. Like, I get to see Steve again, hell yeah. Yeah, it's 3 out of 4 stars for me. I did like as well when they first got to New York, and like at first he's like, wow, look how magical this place is, and then all the noise started rushing in. He's just like, what the hell is all this? I thought, like, okay, that was actually kind of funny. Or like during the music number, there's like 2 cab drivers going at it, and like one shoves him out of the way, but then he comes back in and makes him start dancing with him. I was just like, okay, there's like at least some like background gags here that are actually kind of funny.
That's good. Dom, what is your final rating?
A very positive 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I love it.
A very positive 2. Hey, Steve, you said it. Blue's Clues is in good hands with this new guy, who's been in it for like 3 years now, Joshua De La Cruz.
He is good.
outstanding performance. Great with kids, as I can already tell. And yeah, dude, I am, jokingly, yeah, I'm harping on the critical stuff, not half jokingly, because I'm serious about that stuff, but also like, yeah, dude, I'm happy that Blue's Clues gets a happy ending.
Yeah.
I agree. I completely agree. I thought it was definitely entertaining, but I will stand pat in saying that any longer, and I definitely would have broken something probably. 3 out of 4 stars. Blue's Big City Adventure for me. The review of that and Strange World at stevepulaski.com. That is our show for today. Next week, had to call an audible because I don't understand what the fuck is going on with the Fabelmans release either. Less so than I do Glass Onion, and even less so than I did with Marcella's Shell with Shoes On. But next week, we're reviewing Violent Night, which is the new David Harbour vigilante Santa. He's not really a killer Santa. He's more of a vigilante Santa. This is what this is. This is an action movie, action thriller.
People got tired of the debate of is Die Hard a Christmas movie, so they literally made a Die Hard Christmas movie.
Pretty much. And I'll tell you what
right
now. I just started thinking about it, man. The next 3 months, we've got 4 movies. We got Violent Night with David Harbour about a vigilante Santa. We've got The Mean One, which is that knockoff Grinch horror movie where they can't use the word. You guys know about this? The Mean One? The Grinch horror movie? Yeah, they can't use Grinch. Yeah. So he's referred to as The Mean One. And it takes place in what is it, Newville, I think, instead of Whoville, and instead of Cindy Lou Who, it's Cindy You Know Who. I'm not crazy. It's called The Mean One. It comes out next week.
I saw it. Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah, December 9th. There's Violent Night, there's The Mean One, there's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and then there's Cocaine Bear. My God, cinema is going to be fucking back in 2023. I am so pumped, man. Oh, I knew I'd choose this line of work for a living. At any rate, that's our show, though. We're back next week to review Violent Night. Looking forward to talking about that movie with my dudes, and it's good to be back after a Thanksgiving holiday. We've got, I want to say, 3 shows. I think we have 2 more. We have 2 more after this before our Christmas holiday. So just be mindful of that.
Avatar's our last review, and then we have break, and then we come back with our best of war stuff.
I believe so. I think we might do Babylon to start the year. We might do Babylon to start the year and then give our top 5 best and worst. That is coming in January.
Okay.
But at any rate, that's our show. Highlights be posted on this very YouTube channel you are watching this on right now. For Joe Viso, doing his great work as always, making sure we stay live and in living color. Dominic Guanzon, always bringing scholarly analysis to even movies geared towards preschoolers. And yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.